Bands. This is our second attempt at this same homework because I forgot to share my screen. Great fun, isn't it? Practice makes perfect. All right, here we go. So what we're going to do is the first homework in Unit 4, which is the brand new unit on reactions. How do we balance these reactions? So this time I am going to share my screen and you will get to see my pretty face as we are trying to solve this. So now my head is in the way, and that should have been key to something we did before. My task to help you is to get you some basic information about these. What we need to understand is that these arrows, they essentially are equal signs, that the left side, the number of atoms must equal the right side number of atoms. So what we're going to do is I'm going to set up a equation based on how many elements there are. There's an S and there's an O, and then I'm going to account for how many S's there are on the left. There are 8 S's on the left. There are 2 oxygens on the right. On the right-hand side, I'm sorry, on the left also. Both of them are on the left. But on the right side, I've only got 1 sulfur and I got 3 oxygens. Now, because the oxygens and sulfurs are each in only 1 location on each side, it really doesn't matter with which element you start, but logistically, you probably should try and start with the first element just so that you keep track of where you are. You don't lose track. You don't lose pace with where you're supposed to be as we get more complicated. So with this said, I'm going to now try and equal out my sulfurs. The only way that you can change these balanced reactions are on these blanks with coefficients. So I've got 8 sulfurs on the left. I'm going to put an 8 coefficient on the right. That will change my number of sulfurs to 8, but it's also going to change my number of oxygens to 24 because 8 times 3 is 24. Now I've solved my sulfurs. They are balanced. We can leave it alone. But the problem is the oxygen is not. I've got 24 on the right and only 2 on the left. So I've got to figure out 2 times what will give me 24, and that answer ends up being 12. 12 times 2 is 24. This is now a balanced reaction. So my answer is 1, 12, 8. All right. Now number 2. Same process, but it's a little bit more complicated. We have 3 elements. So I'm still just going to go and count how many there are on the left side, 8, 18, and 2. And then on the right, a little bit more complicated, 1 carbon here, but the oxygen is in 2 different locations. So it has 3 oxygens with only 2 hydrogens. I again suggest that you start logistically with the first element listed. It just makes it for simpler keeping track of the process. But you cannot start with the oxygens. If you start with the oxygens, you will get wrong answers a lot of the time because it's in 2 different locations. So I'm going to start with my carbons. I've got 8 on the left, so that means I'm going to put an 8 coefficient on the right. That changed my carbons to balance, but it also changed my number of oxygens. So I have 16 oxygens plus this 1 out here. I now have 17. I didn't do anything to solve the oxygens. So we'll hold on to that. We'll come back to it. Now let's deal with the hydrogens. I have 18 on the left. I need to multiply by 9 to give it a total of 18 on the right. Now my hydrogens are balanced, but I changed my number of oxygens. I have 16 plus 9, which is 25. That's not balanced still. So we have to change the number of oxygens on the left. So I end up with having 2 times x is equal to 25. Well, that doesn't work out to a nice 12 this time. In fact, it's a 12.5. This is a balanced reaction, but the rules state that you cannot have fractions or decimals in your mole ratio answer. So the coefficients all must be whole numbers. I can't round it because that would actually add oxygen that's not there. So we have to keep them in the same ratio. We multiply everything by 2. So 2, 25, 16, and 18. And now my answer is balanced. Now I have completed your homework on the second try. I could do it twice. I love it. Thank you so much. I will talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.